Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I'm talking about Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition. This game originally came out in 2007, but eventually there was a remaster trilogy collection for Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. That is the version that I played here. I have never played the original version. The whole series of Mass Effect always seemed a little intimidating. It always felt like a big investment to get into Mass Effect. However, I've always known the series to be really renowned, and I have always had it on my want to play list, but not right now. So I don't know, the backlog was getting a little thin, and I decided it was finally time to give Mass Effect 1 a shot. I really can't compare the differences between the Legendary Edition and the regular edition, but I found the trilogy collection for like, I don't know, I want to say maybe $10. So, I mean, the price was definitely right, and these games are beloved. So I felt like I was in for something really great here. And that's where I am kind of conflicted. Do I talk about the game and think about the game in a 2007 setting when it first came out, or am I reviewing the game based on my own experience now in 2025? And I think I will do the latter. This is my experience. This is what Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition was to me in 2025. While I can still respect the game for all that it did back in 2007, I think I've become more accustomed to being spoon-fed where to go, what to do, how to get there, you know, like I'm so used to being able to track a side quest and having a waymark at least pointing me in the general area that I need to go. In this one, whenever I do get a side quest, I'm pulling up the journal and I'm reading what planet I'm supposed to go to. It's very much like a game of its time. It's very much like an RPG, but it is unique in that way that it kind of melds this science fiction first-person shooter with these RPG mechanics. You're gaining XP, you're gaining affinity with other characters, you get the side quests, you get the gear and equipment, but it's a first-person shooter action game, which is not very common in the role-playing game universe. Like, most of the time, it's a turn-based combat, or it is like you're physically going up and attacking enemies. This game often gets compared to something like Star Trek, and while I can see the similarities, I feel like Star Trek is more about diplomatically trying to solve some planet or race of aliens' problems. In this game, there's definitely like a lot more combat. You're not necessarily going to be able to talk your way out of most of these situations, although there are occasions where if your stats are high enough, you are able to either convince somebody of something or intimidate somebody into doing something without battling them. But it's not like a full-on D&D, you can talk yourself out of any situation kind of thing. In the year 2148, humans discovered this technology on Mars that after they did research on it, and because of this new technology that they uncovered on Mars, they were able to space travel, in which they were able to discover different alien races. They have formed this whole council, which is basically just like this giant unification of all these different alien species, and humans are still like one of the newer species to this organization. You play as a human named Commander Shepard, and there are some light customization here. In this one, you can be a female Commander Shepard. I'm not sure if that was in the original Mass Effect or not. I didn't really mess around too much with like the aesthetics of the character. I just kind of went with whatever was default. And this council, this organization of different alien races, has this special elite group of like these CIA agents, I guess, but in space, and they're called Spectres, and Commander Shepard is one of the first humans to be promoted to a Spectre. The reason for that is there is a threat of a very dangerous alien race called the Reapers, and it is your job as a Spectre to go and put a stop to the Reapers invading the universe and destroying all organic life. Now, that's kind of like the beginning section of the game. After that, the game opens up quite a lot. It basically gives you like 3 or 4 of these main missions on these various planets, and it's kind of up to you to choose what order you want to accomplish these main missions. On the surface, the galaxy, the universe that you are traveling across seems really wide and vast until you realize that these different planets are kind of just more of like a level select system, just with a fancier UI. It's still like a super long game. It's not like you're exploring like a whole universe though. You basically like select a planet to land on, and then you see this little animation of your ship that you command to go and land on that planet. So you choose the planet that you have a mission on, you're gonna go land on it. There are certain planets that have more of like you're just going to be like driving around on the surface. This little armed buggy thing is called a Mako, and so you're going to be driving around the Mako, shooting like a basic little pea shooter shot at guys, and then a giant missile occasionally when it goes off cooldown. The Mako itself, like the combat in the Mako, is very easy. I often felt like my shields were never destroyed when I was in the middle of combat. It is kind of fun driving the Mako around. It's got like these boosts that allow you to like kind of jump off this alien terrain, and it is kind of fun just driving around this like surreal planet as you like look off into space, and there's giant moons and planets off into the distance. Most of the time you will be driving the Mako to take you to like a building or something that you need to get out of the Mako and go walk in. And this kind of leads to the main kind of combat where it's more like a third-person shooter, but then you can like look down your scope into the third-person shooter. As far as like your squad that you can take out on missions, you can take 2 of your characters from your squad onto your mission. I think there's a total of maybe like 5 or 6 different crew members that go out on missions with you. As far as like the first 2, they're just humans, so I always felt like that was kind of boring. Why would I take the human when I have like these 4 other super interesting alien races that I can take with me? And that's one of the props that I really want to give Mass Effect, are the wide variety of different unique aliens that all are like really interesting. I want to learn all about these aliens, what they're all about, and you totally have the option to learn more about these different alien races by just going up and talking to your crewmates when you're on your main ship, and this is where you can kind of build up more of a bond with them. And so like it's kind of funny because like you're playing this first-person shooter, shooting down bad guys for maybe like 10 minutes, and then you're talking to one of your crewmates about how their species reproduces for like 20 minutes. And it's also kind of weird because like I'm not usually the type of guy that's interested in learning like the lore of the alien or like the history of this planet or whatever, but something about Mass Effect really roped me in to the point where I wasn't actually like that interested in like Commander Shepard or the crew members. They all felt pretty one note to me, especially like Commander Shepard. I think he's supposed to be more of like a blank slate, like you're supposed to like inflect your own personality into this Commander Shepard, but I felt like the Commander Shepard was just like super boring, no personality type of character. Your crewmates have a little more of a backstory, a little more personality, but even them, I wish that the main story had more character development for Commander Shepard and the crew of the Normandy ship, because I just felt like they didn't see like a whole lot of character development. Like one of the only situations that I can think of where my main character got some character development was our big guy named Rex, and his alien race is like super strong, super overpowered, and so they were kind of like inflicted with this disease that makes it more difficult for their species to reproduce. And like the bad guy that you're going against has developed this vaccine essentially that would help their race flourish, and so you have to go and convince Rex on like why he should still side with your crew rather than go side with the bad guy for the sake of his own race. I wish there was like more situations like that, and there probably would be more if I knew the correct squad mate to take with me on this mission. Like if I knew that a mission had something special, like like a unique dialogue or a unique dialogue choice if I brought this character with me, then I could know that ahead of time and bring the character with me. And so there were probably many scenarios where I did a mission that would have unlocked different dialogue choices had I brought the correct squad mates with me. The good thing about like XP is the XP spreads across like all of the members of your crew that you can take with you on missions. And so even if you don't use a character like Talia for the majority of the game, if you do ever decide to bring her, she will have like all the experience points to allocate different skills to help you navigate and battle through this planet. As far as like the skills that you allocate points into, they weren't that interesting to me. I felt like maybe there's like 4 or 5 that you could use at any given time, at least as like Commander Shepard. Most of them are like, hey, renew your shield, heal your party, your next shot does more damage. And your squad mates also have very similar abilities. I just kind of turned it on like, hey, anytime these abilities are available, just use them. Don't worry about conserving them for emergencies or anything like that. That way I didn't really have to worry about commanding my teammates when they should use their abilities, although I probably would have thought better if I did try to like min-max those decisions. And so just worrying about Commander Shepard's abilities, there wasn't like that much to it. I also felt like by the midpoint of the game, leveling up didn't feel like that exciting because there weren't any like really special abilities that I was trying to save up ability points for. As far as like the actual gunplay combat goes, it is kind of interesting because you get 4 different guns. You get your pistol, your sniper rifle, an assault rifle, and a shotgun. And all these guns have unlimited ammo. They kind of work like how alien guns work in Halo, where instead of ammo, they kind of overheat if you use them for too long. You have to like shoot and then wait for them to cool down. Ultimately, what I found I enjoyed the most was the sniper rifle, because I was really good at the sniper rifle. If there's no weapon sway when I'm looking down the scope, I am really good at a sniper rifle, and so I'm really good at landing those headshots. Also, you are able to kind of customize your guns by obviously like buying new guns or finding new guns that are more powerful, but you can also augment them with upgrades. And so like by the end of the game, my sniper rifle was so strong and it had like explosive rounds and extra damage. And so even if I didn't hit a normal guy in the head, like I'm still taking them out with one shot with the sniper rifle. And so I did find that enjoyable. Definitely not that challenging. The only time that I felt challenged by combat were a couple bosses who are like armed with like missiles that can automatically kill me. And that's probably because I didn't like allocate that many points in my defenses, because like why would I do that when I could just snipe them down from a mile away? But there is other equipment that you can equip, like your gear, your varying weapons. There's like Omni tools that you can equip to your characters. It's not really like, I don't know, something like Borderlands where there's like different tiers and different colors of equipment that are like, hey, this equipment is really amazing. You should be really excited about this. Basically what would happen is I'd go do a mission and then I'd like scan through my inventory and see if there were any upgrades, but it's not like color coded. They don't really have like a flat out way of telling you if something is really good or rare or not. And I also think that's more of like an era of its time as well. Now, like any RPG, there are dialogue choices, and so this is where you can get to the majority of like side information that you don't necessarily need to know, but if you wanted to learn more about a character, you can ask them about that. There are like the nice options and the mean options. Every option kind of gives you like a quick little sentence at kind of explaining what you want to say or ask, but that's not necessarily what Commander Shepard is going to say or ask. And so sometimes I feel like I'd see like a sentence that says like, inquire about the state of the building, and then like you'd click on that, and then Commander Shepard would be like, man, this building is really crappy, you know, like that's an exaggeration, but like he would actually say something meaner than what I chose for him to say. I mean, that was kind of Commander Shepard as a whole, like as a whole character, is like he doesn't have people skills. He's very demanding, he's very like straight to the point, and there's obviously like other like, this is a mean thing to say. compared to like, this is a nice thing to say. And it is kind of obvious like what the nice thing is and what the mean thing is. And depending on like what your dialogue choices are, you can either like, it affects like a certain point value. And so like, from what I understand, anytime you do something nice or say something nice, you get Paragon points. I'm not even sure what it's called when you do something mean or say something mean, because like, that's not really how I like to play my characters. I enjoy being the nice guy. I enjoy being the hero. And so that's obviously what I'm going to do. And so my Paragon points were very high. I'm honestly not sure what these Paragon points affected, but they surely affect something. Maybe like your dialogue choices. I did notice that like as I leveled up, I could put more points into like my nice convincing options, and I had less points to allocate into like the mean intimidation options. And so maybe like as I get more Paragon points, then I can get more of these nicer convincing options. As far as the visuals go, this is like a remaster, at least, of the original Mass Effect. I doubt it's a remake of the original Mass Effect. There are some more like janky kind of facial expressions, like sometimes their eyes start twitching, or like they make weird facial expressions that are very reminiscent of something like the year 2007. It's like the early stages of mocap are the best ways that I can explain it. There's also lots of elevators that were quite obvious, like loading points that you would have to go stand in an elevator. Sometimes your characters would talk to you. Sometimes you'd listen to like a news headline or something like that as you're riding through the elevator. But this one does thankfully give you the option to kind of skip most elevator rides if it is all done loading. But it is pretty obvious like, oh, this is supposed to be a loading point because it wants you to get in this elevator. There are certain like containers and lockers that you can unlock if your character's skills are high enough, like just hacking into computers and things like that. It's nothing like too complex. It's basically just like hey, we're gonna light up a button and you press that button, and depending on like how hard it is to encrypt the computer or unlock this container is like how many buttons are going to be lighting up in a row, and you just are following these buttons that light up. Nothing too complicated. It did feel fairly brain dead. It was more of like a skill check, like, hey, is your hacking skill high enough in order to get into this computer or not? As far as the music goes, it usually is kind of subtle, especially like when I'm just in a city and just listening to the music and actually paying attention to it. There obviously are more pumped up songs in the game, especially like when you're in the middle of combat or something like that. There were definitely times when I'm just exploring a planet though, and it's just playing like this subtle synth kind of music, and I actually really liked some of the songs in this game. It's weird, like sometimes I'm listening to the music and I'm thinking this could be something like straight out of Stranger Things even. It kind of has that like 80s sci-fi kind of music, but I really am just surprised at how sucked in I was into like the worlds, these different planets, these different aliens, the lore of the Protheans and the Reapers. That was surprisingly like what I enjoyed the most about this game. Not necessarily like the individual characters, more just like the world that these characters lived in. That being said, I definitely did not spend as much time in this game as I should have. I did run the credits, but by the end of the game, it said that my save file was only 13 hours, which I know is like a super quick time to play Mass Effect, and maybe all my complaints about the character development and learning more about my characters would have come from interacting with them a lot more rather than just going straight to the missions. I did do a fair number of side missions as well, but I also agree that I did have my blinders on at some points when I was playing through this game, and if I really wanted to get invested in this game, then I could have easily spent 20 plus hours playing it. But regardless of that, I do think I'm going to give this game a 4 out of 5. I can see like so much potential in it. While it isn't my favorite game, especially playing it nowadays, I could totally put myself in the headspace of playing this game in 2007 and just having my mind blown by like the feats that it does and the world building that it has. What I'm ultimately excited about is eventually when I play through Mass Effect 2 and 3, as far as I understand, like the decisions that I made in Mass Effect 1 can affect how Mass Effect 2 goes and Mass Effect 3 goes. And so I'm really interested to see, because like sometimes when you play a game, it's like, hey, your decisions will affect the overall outcome of this game. But like really, it doesn't like make that much of a difference. It's pretty much just like the last cinematic that you watch before the credits is different. So I'm interested to see like how different my experience would be compared to somebody else who played through the Mass Effect trilogy. I know I didn't make like all of the smartest choices, and so I'm hoping that doesn't come back to bite me in the butt too much. I also know that I've made some pretty good Paragon decisions, and so I would like to see my actions make a better universe as well. Well guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!